Hey Leo, happy Lunar New Year. I am recording this on New Year's Day, so it's a new moon and the first new moon of the year. So we're starting in our lunar cycle. So guys, this is a reading for the 1st of February till the 9th of February. I will be doing weekly and monthly readings, so please subscribe if you wish to follow on that. But this is a long one just so we can get into the cycle as soon as the week starts on a Saturday. So I'm just shuffling your cards. I'm using the Queen of the Moon Oracle and also the Moonology Oracle. I kind of felt like they were fitting choices. And one more. Okay. So we start off with Beauty in Reverse. So I really like this card. It's so pretty. I will show you it upright. It's like a beautiful nature creating a face. So what this does for me is what this says for me, sorry, for you guys, is that I kind of want you to see the beauty in the everyday, actually. And I kind of feel like this is essential to yourself, your personal well-being, is seeing the beauty in who you are as a person and how you kind of showcase in the world, Leo. And I would say that this is a time for you to kind of go within and just express yourself on the outside with who you are authentically. I kind of feel like that is the message here for you. And know that you are naturally beautiful with who you are, as we all are, and to embrace that in every aspect of yourself. The next card is also in reverse, and this is release. So I do think that there is things within that need to come out. I do think that the beauty that is within needs to be shown, which is what I was getting from that vibe from the first card for you guys. And to me, this is really kind of saying, just bring it all out, show the world what you have, who you are, just be authentically you. This is a card of releasing and letting go of things that no longer serve us anymore, but it's also a card of letting go, but I think in a sense of kind of letting yourself, like I just did a deep breath then, like it's like just release, let go, exhale, let go of the tension. I kind of get the sense of holding on to a lot of tension. I think that's why. It just feels like a breath of air and just exhaling. And when you're exhaling, letting go of anything that is just not yours to hold anymore. And then once you have done that, you are capable of allowing the stuff that's meaningful to come out, because all the stuff that you're holding in kind of it prevents anything else from coming out too. So when we're anxious, we're tense, and we're holding our body like up without realizing, we're kind of really tense. We are not really existing in the world. You literally are just existing, but there's not like a presence. You kind of have to learn to release and let go of whatever is hindering you in order to really have your place in the world. Now, this energy is about really being productive to where we want to go, our growth, especially this time of year. It really is kind of looking and reflecting on things and think what needs to happen. So for you guys, Leo, it is about releasing and letting go, and again, letting go of the tension. I really just get this sense of needing to drop the shoulders and let out some breaths. But it will be deeper than that as well. You'll know what it is yours to release. Again, in reverse, actually all of your cards in reverse of this deck, so definitely need to be focusing on whatever this has to say for you today, and know the deck is not upside down because I don't put mine in the right order. That's the whole point, is I allow things to flow the way that they're just going to naturally come out, and that's how I read my cards. The next card is Creation. Now this card really is about trusting and having faith in things, and to me this is specifically saying what we were just talking about. It's about trusting in something beyond yourself, and to me I think that trusting the self as well is essential for you, Leo. And I think that that's something that you are actually naturally learning during this time, and that is what's beautiful about you, is that you do have this high level of trust for yourself. But I do think that it is shadowed by the tension that you're holding, and I think that it's coming back to now your kind of baser instinct and natural ability to trust in yourself, and trust in the way that things are going. Now, it's a tense time in the world at the moment, Leo, and so this can create all of this stress. We can take on the stress of others, and then it becomes our own burden. And I think being conscious of that and realizing again that that is beautiful in itself, that you are so compassionate that these things matter to you, even if they're not actually directly impacting you, though they are probably are, because at the moment, the way the world is looking, it's people are very, very rightly so taking things on a very personal level, offensive, because it is offensive to you and your human rights and who you are as a person, or people who we love as well. But trust that things are going the way that they need to go is essential during this time, so that people are not chaotic and losing their heads, because that's the whole point. Having these distractions are preventing you from actually authentically being yourself and being able to process the information in a way that is productive to you in your life and to help others, and also just again your place on this earth during this time. So again, keep your cool, understand that it is naturally part of who you are, and flow with that, but release what isn't yours to hold on to, so that you again can have your place on this earth in the way that you were intended, and not in the way that others intend for you. I do feel that's essential right now. Yep, the next card is faith. This is a card that's saying have faith and trust and understand again, things happen for a reason, and no, the universe is not working against us when bad things happen, because the universe doesn't think that way. So however you see this, as it being God, gods, the universe, and energy, the source, whatever it is that your understanding of the universe is having faith that it's not working against you, because it doesn't work like that. The way that energy works is it is supporting us, but it's supporting on the masses, right? Whatever we're telling. So if we are putting out fear and hate, the universal energies are supporting that fear and hate. And it's not that it's an evil entity, because it's not good or evil, it just is. And when we stop trying to make the universal energy be a human, and when we see it as something that just is, that exists in a raw state, we can understand that it is supporting of the energies that we are putting out there. Our position in this universe, our formula, our ingredient to this, what we are putting out there is going to help to navigate the energies that are supported, right? So if we are in a fear, we might not be supportive of what's causing the fear, but we are supportive of that energy, right? And so that is wrongly fueling the energy that we want to see in this world. And that is why we're trying to drop and release things that aren't ours, Leo. And I think that's very essential during this time, in this period of time in our lives, in the world, in the universe. Having faith and trust that once we are in our natural state, in our own natural sense of being who we are, being what we want to be, and again going for what we want to be, going towards, the rest will follow with that energy. And I think that's the best thing that most of us can do, because most of us are not in a position of power that we can massively impact. All we can do is work on our own individual basis, within our communities, with our family, with our friends, our loved ones, the ways that we are raising our children. Those things are what matter, that we as individuals can be doing to, again, better shape our worlds and our lives. And I think that this message is something that needs to be spread more among us than the fear, than the negative. So this card with faith is saying have faith and trust. You on a personal level are really growing something at this time, and it's taking you through this kind of hermit period where again you are learning, you are growing, you're watching, observing. That is kind of your directive in this. The next card is resilience, and this is saying, even that in the times that are hard, even in the hard times, you are carrying so much. And yet look where you are now. Look who you are. You are still this beautiful being with millions of opinions and views that are shaped who you are. And essentially that is your pure energy. And I think you need to be proud of that. I know that's definitely an energy that you can harness, Leo, once you realize how resilient you are. Now, I do find that in periods of time I have felt a negative attachment to being resilient. I'm like, I shouldn't have to be, because it's a hard energy to be in, to be resilient. It means that you've been through struggles. It means that you have hardships, and that's not a nice thing to have to live through for anybody, right? But being resilient is strong. It is something that even people that view people as weak are. People say, oh, that person's not very resilient, and yet they've lived through hard things. They just might, how we interpret that when people say that they're not very resilient means that they're openly showing on the outside that they're struggling. And I think that is actually not a weakness, because it's really hard to show people when you are struggling, to ask for help, to need help. So I think that we need to take away and drop and release any expectations of weakness and it forming these negative opinions of ourselves, because again, that's fueling the negative. That is exactly answering to the universe, exactly what certain infrastructures are putting out in the world right now, and we need to be not doing that for ourselves and our own personal health and well-being of every individual that is struggling. Fear, again, definitely on the right path here with all of this. Fear card comes up when you're allowing yourself to be controlled by fear. So again, that's what you're putting out into the world. That's the universal energy. So if you look at the card, there's all them crows around. They're attached. Now, I view crows and ravens as the messengers of the gods. So the universe, the overworld, they are here. They hold wisdom. They transcend it into the world, right? In this imagery, they're attached to our hands. She has her hands up, well down, and they're all on threads. I feel like this is basically signifying that these are holding you back. You are not allowing your messages and your anything that needs to be sent out into the world to go out into the world. You're holding it close to you, which means you are owning those fears in a way that's preventing you from growth, that is being unproductive, that's potentially sheltering you and making you feel vulnerable, and that's what you're putting out into the world. That's not who you are. It's just what is, like, it's like you're accepting that. And I'll give an example. It's like having anxieties. Now, I have anxieties and suffer with anxiety, and I'm neurodivergent, so I do have struggles with this, with overthinking, and having the potential to allow myself to believe the fears and the doubts, right? Because they come up a lot, right? When you're going through it, when you're in that state of being, that's what dominates. Now, I could be like, I'm an anxious person, I'm anxiety, and I can make that be who I am, and then that means I will not exist in the world, because I'll go into masculine, into the protection. I will do everything I can to make sure that I am protected from the world, from the things that is telling me I fear, right? Because the fears are just things that we make up that stop us from living and existing in the world. And this is exactly what I'm seeing here. It's like as though you are owning that energy, so much so that you've created it as the armor. But again, is that stopping your potential? Is this a make-believe bubble that you've put yourself in? And I know that can sound kind of hard sometimes when we hear that, like someone, oh, I'm not making up. Like, no, you're not making. But are you though? You're not making up. It exists. They're real feelings. These are things that generally are things you're struggling with. But you can make a choice to either live in that, to own that, and again, you're feeding the negative energy that we don't want in our lives. We want to be reaching our goals and our dreams. We all have them. We can either decide to allow ourselves to live in a state of being that doesn't serve us and prevents us from this, or we can choose to acknowledge that, yes, they're fears, but, and this is how I like to look at it, is say that there is a goal and you have fears, and basically it's like it's safer to not go for that goal, right? Because of all the ifs, whats, buts, maybes, right? It's safer to just not. But is the outcome of not doing it better, more fulfilling than failing at an attempt at doing something? What's the worst that can happen? I guarantee that the worst that can happen by not doing it is far worse than most of the outcomes of not doing it. But we hold ourselves back in the comfort zone of the not, because we already sit there, so we know what it feels like. Like, it's miserable, it's not nice, why are we enjoying this? Why are we enduring this, right? And that's when we start making the right choices and asking the right questions to ourselves, because you should be asking yourself questions to get yourself out of the sense of doom, of staying in there scared, right? Power is the next card. You do have the power to do that. You have the power to manifest. This card, to me, it really does represent that you are putting out the energy that's surrounding you. So being very self-aware of that, and seeing the beauty again in what you are and how you can overcome these things. And I think you can look back at examples of things you've been through in your life that can really demonstrate this, of like, hey, I was really fearful and I did this and life became better because of XYZ. Using the example for me, like I came to Australia, I was meant to travel with someone else and she cancelled on me, and then it was like I had to grasp it different ways, and I was so fearful, and I could have chose to be like, you know what, if I can't find anyone to go with, I'm not going, but I didn't, and I came, and it really created the cogs and turned things so that my life took a whole different path, and everything just sort of fell into place. I wanted to have children, I wanted to get married, and those things happened for me because I made a choice. And I could have chose differently, and my life would look very differently now. Who knows where I'd be, and I'm sure the outcome could have been a positive one in a different way. But again, I made a decision, and it could have gone really badly, and it could have done X, Y, Z. I could have made up a million scenarios that would have prevented me from doing it. And I didn't. It's like one of those times in my life where I'm like, I'm proud. I actually did the things that, like, one of the most scariest things, like, I'm such a sensible person that when I make risks, it's so super scary. And this is an example of that. Of how that can benefit you by getting into that energy. You have the power to change and shift and shape. So if your life is not looking entirely great right now, look within. I'm not saying it's shit because of you, because that's not at all what I'm trying to say here. It's just that you can change and shift it, and you are responsible for the decisions you make. And if you choose to do nothing, that is a choice. Everything you do is a choice, even if you feel like it's not a choice of yours. It is, because you're choosing to let somebody else have control of that. Yes, there are scenarios where things are difficult to make, and it can be seemingly beyond your control. But again, there are still always steps where you can make different choices for yourself to get into a different shape of being, a different energy. The next card is purity. And this is exactly what I'm saying about. It's not about beating yourself up about this. So if you are feeling like, whoa, yeah, you're right, I'm living in a state of fear, I'm doing this, X, Y, Z, then you can come into this part where you go into shame and you're staying in that energy. It's being kind to yourself, nurturing yourself, and realizing, again, there's a gift, there's a reason why you're so sensitive and sensible, depending on which. And that is beautiful, and that is essentially a part of who you are. You need to work with that energy and not against that energy. I feel like we work against it when we just allow the most baser comfort desires to take place. That's when we get into that toxic negative patterns. But again, not beating yourself up about it. It's understanding that you are a vulnerable person and you dance to the rhythm of life in the way that you do, and that's unique to you, and not everyone is going to dance in the same way, and that's fine. I do need you to not have to focus on an outcome. You kind of need to just allow yourself to, I want to say, naturally be who you are, but in a way where you can do that in such a way that's not having an outcome. For example, it's like, okay, I'm going to focus on not allowing my fears to stop me from doing something, and then wanting to see the results straight away. For example, having the fear of going to the shops by yourself. That's a very valid, real fear that people with anxiety have. So basically jumping, ripping off the band-aid and going doing it one day, it being terrible, scary, bad things happen, like maybe someone pushed you over and your shopping fell out of your bag, or it was just like a lot of people were there and it was overwhelming and you went home and cried. It's like not seeing this as a weakness, as something that means that you shouldn't be doing it anymore. You had a bad run, it was your first time. The first time we do anything is never going to be an absolute perfect run. And also the world doesn't cater to us and our life. Life's going to happen to you when you live it. But that's a beautiful thing. And also the next time you do it, it could be an absolute amazing time. But if you allowed the fear and to shame to seep within because you had that bad experience and you cried and you felt that that was a vulnerable, horrific thing that happened to you, then you're not willing to experience life, because the next time could be the best day. You could have met somebody who really made you see yourself within them. They can understand what you're going through, empathy. You had a really great conversation. It was just a cute meet cute, whatever you call it. And you never see them again, but it was just somebody really influenced you in that day because you had a really good day. Now you would be preventing yourself from that if you lived in the shame and prevented yourself from trying again. And I really feel like, Leo, I have to say to you this time, like, don't allow things to prevent you from living your life just because there was a hiccup. And remember, failure is not an ending. Failure is a lesson of something within that needs to change. And remember, your formula is different from the last time you tried as well. So just because you do something one day, you are not that person the next day. It's a whole new energy, whole new day, whole new vibe, and a whole new you. So the last 4 cards are just supporting cards that will support the reading that we've just gone through. Work through your fears. So there's definitely this feeling of fears overcoming you during this time. Personal issues reach resolution. Loving that. That means that you are working through it, and also that things are going to be resolved. So maybe that is an energy shift in itself for you. A new start is coming. Total vibes of this year. This is sort of saying things are coming to an end. It doesn't necessarily mean things specifically are ending, but the cycle of energy is shifting, that you're coming into the new. So again, just because you've done it before doesn't mean you can't do it again. You are completely different ingredients, different formula than you were last week, last year, the last time you tried. Nothing will come of this situation. And to me, this card is coming through to say that not to have expectations and to just allow things to just be. I feel as though everybody is worried at the moment of certain things that happen. And actually I had this kind of channeling moment when I had this conversation with someone recently. They were really worried and really stressed, and I just don't feel that. I feel this very big channeling thing of like, that's what is wanted to come from you. People want you to fear this. They want you to worry and panic, but I'm like, I just don't feel that that's there. And to me, trusting my intuition, trusting my psychic abilities, and trusting what will be, I feel as though we all need to be actually just not focused on that, as hard as it is. And I'm not saying brushing it under the rug, because that's not healthy either. I just feel as though it's like nothing is going to come of the like what everything, the worst things that you're all thinking right now. It's like nothing's going to come of that situation in the way that you think. And I think we need to stop having expectations and thinking the worst, again feeding that energy, because it's not predictions, and we don't want to be prophesizing something when it's just not meant to be on the cards. Alright, thank you, Leo, for being here. Please follow me to keep up to date with your readings. Again, I will try and do weekly and monthly. So yeah, keep a lookout, and I look forward to spending this year with you. Thank you, guys.